Okay, now I'm sure all of you have seen this happen out there before. Somebody who makes a video claiming that uh, both Islam and Christianity inspire violence equally, and that in their original forms they were both equally violent, equally passive, and in their modern day forms they're both equally passive and equally aggressive. Neither is more hostile than the other, and if anything, Christianity is more to blame for some reason because of the Crusades, of all things. Um, no, I just have to say no to this. Any people who make videos saying, "Well, I've read the Quran and Hadith and everything, and I can't find where you're getting any of this violence from." I mean, it's comparable to the stuff in the Old Testament for Christianity. No, it's not. It actually comes later. Our mercy comes later. We had it's not a that's Protestantism kind of seeping in there. But no, there's that kind of Freudian slip. But the message of the good news is that peace and love and God coming to all the nations of mankind. In Islam, you do have peace and God coming to all the nations of mankind, but you're getting greeted with a sword. The if they could picture if the Christians who were being persecuted for a long time suddenly gained power overnight, and then they decided, well, we don't want to act so Christian anymore. Let's turn and just start killing people. Uh, yeah, then Christianity would be wrong, but that's not what happened. But that is what happened with Islam. All the leaders, all the church fathers, everybody in Christianity were living under the guise of the Roman Empire. They didn't support the empire. They believed that their organization was completely separate from that world. That was, the profane, and the Christian world was the holy world. So you had this detachment that you didn't need to rule or lord over people. You were kind of trying to be left alone for a long time, just live, not get killed. And their nonviolent ethics grew up around that, message of peace and love. Islam had things like this in the beginning when they were getting persecuted. But then they showed their true colors when Muhammad took over Medina. And the people of Medina thought they were getting someone like Christ, but instead of the Son of God, they got a normal Arabian guy who, when he's shown all the lust and power he can have, he takes it. He doesn't care how many bodies he has to walk over. But he does it in the name of God, and he rules with such an iron fist that people are forced to teach their children to go along with this because it's like a Maoist type regime, just slaughtering anybody who's unfit. And this happened for such a long period of time that people couldn't exist under it. They had to flee or die. And there were strong encouragements to join Islam. And if you didn't join Islam, you had to pay a protection tax. Mafia. Your women can be married off to Islamic men, but none of your men can marry Islamic women. So that sucks. And this only goes if you're Christian or Jew or you have some type of relation to the Abrahamic religions. If you don't, you're screwed. To try to distort these two things, that the early 300-year persecution of the church is identical to the slaughter and bloodshed of the 300 years that comes after Islam. This is where we see true religion right here in its beginning centuries, not in 1,000 years later in a dark age in a different continent where people can't read and write and there's kingdoms warring and stuff like that. But what the founder did and what his disciples did. One was convert religion by basically argument and bringing the spirit of God to people and miracles and stuff. Peacefully changed the Roman Empire. Yeah, it finally took a general, but he actually stopped the persecutions. Uh, we don't find this with Muhammad. Muhammad ratcheted up the persecutions. He did not. He did not love his enemy as his neighbor. He does not love his neighbor as his neighbor. He doesn't love his neighbor as himself. I mean, there's nothing. He loves himself as himself. He hates his neighbor and his enemy because if his neighbor, I mean, Christians, when you hear them talk, they're they always talk about, oh, this needs to get corrected. They're always putting sin on them. I'm the most sinful person. No, I'm not. The Muslims preach change. This needs to. It's very strange. And don't get me wrong. There's Christians who do the incorrect of, basically yelling at people, acting like Muslims. But that's because I think Protestantism is Islam too. It's iconoclasts. It's the same spirit. Not to say that the same spirit is operating Protestants. Operating Muslims, absolutely not, because they have Trinity and the Incarnation. But it's the same temptation to stray. I once heard somebody say that Calvinist that Islam is Calvinism in the East, just dealing with the icons. But I mean, that's way off topic. It's too late for me to be talking about this. But I just saw the video and it irritated me. Even in the modern day forums, where are the people marching in Christian armies to try to take over stuff? Yeah, maybe some hillbillies in Michigan do that. They're not a viable threat. They don't drive planes into buildings, do stuff like that. There's lone nuts like Timothy McVeigh, but there's no equivalent to Al Qaeda. Okay, Al Qaeda doesn't exist. Whatever, it doesn't. People can say that. It still doesn't destroy the fact that there's hundreds of Muslim groups out there wanting to kill and destroy. Now, yeah, Hezbollah and Hamas and all that, yeah, they're fighting for Israel, but they're also religious organizations. They're charitable organizations too, so I don't want to pick on them too much. But look at the terrorism in the Philippines, the border of Pakistan. This doesn't even have to be inspired by groups. There's something about Islam where a sizable minority preaches and believes in total war with non-Muslim states. It's a sizable minority. What religion today has a sizable minority of people who actively need to be heard, are constantly being offended, and just want total war with all those faiths, and they will say it out loud. They will teach their kids to believe that Christians and Jews are pigs and apes. It's on national TV of Saudi Arabia, but they're much more holy than us because they have their mutawa to throw girls back into a burning building because their heads aren't covered. I don't know. For people to not see a difference is to lie. They're not stupid. I don't believe anybody is that stupid. So when I see people saying this crap, I know you're a liar. Because either you lied about you didn't read the Quran or any Islamic material, and you just want to be ecumenical and just be, everybody's equal and nothing's blah blah, or you're lying. You read it and you don't want to speak the truth because it's too scary. Because while there might actually be a group of people who are out there who will kill you, and it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter if you want to be their friend, they want you dead. I don't like to think about that either. So you're either a liar, both way. Either ways, either one. But still, learn. Even if you hold this crappy view, which I've seen a couple videos, I'm not gonna. Well, you know what? I am gonna attach this one to. I don't know. That's it.